Somebody said, if you are right, there is no need to get angry. And if you are wrong, then you don't have any right to get angry. This is so true, right? This statement gives no reasons for us to get angry. It is so true that we don't have to get angry if we are right, and also we don't have any right to get angry when we are wrong. But even knowing this, we still struggle dealing with our anger in our everyday life. And I am always guilty of this because anger is one of the emotions that I find it very difficult to control, especially when faced with real life situations. So today I want us to look at this very human emotion that all of us has and is difficult for many of us to deal with. Let us specifically see what the Word of God has to say about this emotion called anger. Today in our passage from James chapter 1 verses 19 and 20, here it says, let me read. It says, my dear brothers and sisters, take note of this. Everyone should be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry. Because human anger does not produce the righteousness that God desires. I want to repeat this verse. Because human anger does not produce the righteousness that God desires. Yes, I hope it is clear here. Our human anger does not produce any good thing that our God desires from us. Most of the time we get angry, and when we express our anger to others, we end up hurting each other. We know that, but we still do it. Why? Sometimes, even we know that we are going to hurt them, we still do it because most of the time it is our desire or to satisfy our selfish self. Or for some of us, maybe if we don't express our anger, we are not satisfied. That is why many of us continue to hurt others because of trying to satisfy our own desire. So, what I have realized about my anger is this. It all starts with my desire. And if only I know how to control this desire, then I will be able to control my anger, which we now know that it does not produce any good thing that our God desires from us. The Word of God in James chapter 1 verses 14 and 15 says, and let me read this. Here it says, but each person is tempted when they are dragged away by their own evil desires and enticed. Then after desire has conceived, it gives birth to sin, and sin, when fully drawn, gives birth to death. Let me repeat this again. It says, after desire has conceived, it gives birth to sin, and sin, when it is fully drawn, gives birth to death. Death here is referring to being dead in our spiritual life. You see, if we keep feeding our selfish desires, or let me say our anger, and keep sinning, it will ultimately lead us to our spiritual death. Because just take a moment and think of this. What good thing can our human anger bring to us? Really think about that. If anger has helped anyone in any way, please let me know who that person is. I would really like to meet that person. We cannot bear the fruit of the Spirit, which according to Galatians chapter 5 verses 22 and 23 is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. If we keep getting angry always, think about this. How can our human anger and love to be together? How can we express joy and anger together? How can anger and peace be in harmony with each other? How can patience and anger be together? How can kindness and anger be expressed together? How can we express anger and gentleness together? And How can we exercise self-control if we always choose to live in anger? It is impossible for us to bear the fruit of the Spirit with our anger. And even after knowing this truth, if we choose to continue exercising our anger, it will ultimately result in our spiritual death. Because if we don't bear our fruit of the Spirit in us, we are useless, just like what Jesus said in John chapter 15, that if we don't remain in Him, we will bear no fruit. And then He said, you are like a branch that is thrown away and withers. Such branches are picked up, thrown into the fire, and burned. What is the use of a plant if it does not bear fruit? What is the purpose of being a Christian if we cannot bear the fruit of the Spirit and let others experience the forgiveness and love of God through our life? Harboring anger in our hearts and towards others brings only disturbance to ourselves. If we are not at peace with ourselves or within us, it ultimately affects the words we say and the actions we do. And when we are in that state of mind, we really cannot do anything good to others or to ourselves. And as I say all these things about anger, remember also that anger in itself is not a bad emotion. We are all born with it. Even small children as innocent as 1 or 2 years old have anger in them. Day before yesterday, on Thursday, my 2-year-old daughter was playing with Lydia. Suddenly, she started frowning and whining that she was sad and angry. I picked her up and asked why she was feeling like that. And she said, Papa, I just want to beat Ate Lydia so much. I asked her why. And she said again, because Ate Lydia is playing with my toys. Anger and being angry is totally human and normal. It is just how we use it or express it. Especially we as believers, and in the context of our passage today, we must remember that even when differences or conflicts arises among us, both sides should be willing to listen and hear each other out. Being stiff and hard-bent with our own opinion only blocks the ways of bringing reconciliation. Do you know the best way to control your anger? Always eat. Don't stay hungry. If you're hungry, you will be more angry. Jokes apart, may the Spirit of God always control us in all of our emotions, especially our anger, especially in how we express it, in how we manage it, so that we will not do things that will stop us from walking in the righteousness of God. As we conclude, receive this benediction from Colossians chapter 3 verses 12 to 15. It says here, therefore, as God's chosen people, holy and dearly loved, clothe yourself with compassion, kindness, humility, gentleness, and patience. Bear with each other and forgive one another if any of you has a grievance against someone. Forgive as the Lord forgave you. And over all this virtue, put on love, which binds them all in perfect unity. Let the peace of Christ rule in your hearts, since as members of one body, you were called to peace. And be thankful. Stay in peace. God bless you all and hope to see you all next Sunday.